So we're talking about the Kundalini snake and the huge deception that it is in the New Age and spiritual community. So do you have anything more you want to say on that topic?
Well, just that, like I said before, I thought that there would probably be several really good Tantra teachers out there, and when I scanned the globe, none of them have authentic purity and what we called back in the ultraviolet realm, Suila, which is the pure heart creation energy. And they don't have it, and so they can't teach it.
Well, they have it, but the snake overlay is...
They don't have access to it. They are not using it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a pretty shocking statement, and that might be triggering a lot of people.
Probably.
Because the poly community and the Tantra community poses as the great salvation of human liberation and sexual liberation is a gigantic need, because it is one of the huge tools of oppression and redirection into the demonster's agenda to harvest the reverse spin on our sexual energies. Is that right?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's like going from huge oppression into extreme sexuality that has been corrupted. So, you know, it's like the pendulum swinging on both sides, and they're both not good.
Yeah.
We need to get back to the center, back to... It's almost like a place that you have to go back into your memory banks to understand and remember and then activate it. Because for the most part, it's not being taught, and it's not around. It's so refined and so defined that some people I think are close, but it's out of this world. It's literally out of this world, and I think it's something that we can. Yes, it's something we can acquire and use to be a part of intimate relationships.
Well, let me just say something there.
Okay.
In shadow synthesis, many of the people coming are excavating their purity. From all the great work that you and many others have done, those channels are open. But it's a huge excavation, and that's the distinction that we make, is between the purity and the distortion. And we surface everything that is against that purity that's a part of our operating system, so that we can return to that, because our souls can't be satiated without living from purity. Our beings long to have the pure connection of heart to heart without the distortion. And that's the sacred journey, the path of initiation, the path of individuation, the shadow synthesis path, and it sounds like it's also the cryogenetic path, to peel back all of these insidious layers to return to that. That's the destination, is that purity. Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. Absolutely.
So let's dive into some of the misconceptions in the New Cage. I think
I love that.
Cameron Day coined that phrase. It's a great,
thank you,
great
Cameron.
phrase. Yes,
that
thank you, Cameron.
Awesome.
The New Cage. But it's also, this is also ancient religion, the Kundalini. So there's, and then the huge suppression by the patriarchy of anything sexual, which suppressed our sexuality, demonized it, made it bad, evil, and wrong, which inverts it keeps it in the subconscious, fractures it, puts it in dissociation. So it's perfect for harvesting. And then when we move into sexual encounters, that energy, now united with the Kundalini, is actually a toxic force that leads us more into separation. And usually the love story is a short-lived story, and the pain, the torture, and the heartbreak is the long-term story. And there's a reason for that too, isn't it? Because when we open up this heart core store, isn't the biggest obstacle our broken hearts?
Most certainly. And like you said before, feeling not worthy because of double agent work that we've done.
Some double agent and some just carrying this distorted energy, because we know a part of us is downright evil. And we can't just me culpa, and I mean, this is the force behind a lot of religion, of course, is further indoctrinating humanity into enslavement by poking at this wound that we feel inside, this original sin,
Right.
that they've taken and distorted all of that. So the thing that I find really interesting about your work is that you're just a fabulous stealth Sherlock Holmes and your team in terms of uncovering some scandalous plots that are engineered in invisible realms, that are impacting, that are utilizing that situation that we're in, that we're not allowed to speak our truth, to feel our truth, to know who we are, to embody our true sexuality. And so we're just sitting ducks for the harvest, and then we get swept into the agenda. Now we're either perpetrators or victims of the system, and we're looping endlessly in this pit that most of us either are in denial of, or but it's very challenging to face the depths of this pain, really, isn't it?
Well, and then you add on to that our forced agreements.
Well, what are our forced
Yeah,
agreements?
That's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah.
We'll explain that. Okay, in order, the way, so this game is rigged, and one of the ways it's rigged is to make it so anybody from other sectors of space that wanted to come in, like the cosmic cleanup crew, that wanted to come in and help clean things up and bring things to balance and clear the corruption. There was a system in place that the D-Monster did exquisite job, that if we came in to this earth to inhabit a body, whether it's a physical body or an animal body or whatever, if we came in, we had to agree to some horrible things, in order to get into bodies here.
Such as?
Agreeing that you will not live up, you will not find your contracts, or your abilities, that if you start using your abilities, something bad will happen and you'll have to shut them down. Or if you start using, I call them your X-Men abilities, that someone's gonna die. Just horrible things.
So, but these, what do you call them, contracts?
Forced agreements.
Forced agreements. So what is the forced agreement? You come in and you get your memory wiped, right?
That's a forced agreement. You bet it is.
That you don't know who you are. You
That's
don't know
another
where you
forced
came
agreement
from.
Yes.
But there's more. The forced agreements in terms of that you'll reincarnate on this wheel over and over again.
That's
or what?
That's one. There's many. The people that I work with have, on an average of, let's say, 30 to like 150 forced agreements. Okay, so that's a lot.
So can you break those forced agreements?
Yes, you can. You have to find them first. So what I have my clients do is they say, okay, I've got this problem. I'm always late. for things, you know. That could be a forced agreement, that you're never on time, that you never do things on time and do things in the right way at the right time, at right place at the right way at the right time. That can be a forced agreement. And then there's some that make you scared. Or I had one that if I showed any demonstrative love to my kids, that somebody would find them and destroy them. So I had to pretend that I didn't even like them when I was out in public. And I thought, boy, I sure have weird mannerisms when I'm out in public. I'll just pat their little heads, but as far as hugging them and no. But when I come home, I was Mother Goose. But when we're out in public, I'm just like, okay, run along, dear.
So what you're saying about these forced agreements is they're in our subconscious, and they're operating. We don't even know what's going on.
It's like a background program going on.
So as long as those are in place, we are not going to...
We're imprisoned. We can't do what we came here to do as long as those are. We'll have to get a list. I'll have to go through some of my clients' lists of like hundreds of forced agreements, and we'll have those out so people can look at them and go, that looks like something I have.
Well, we'll definitely be working on that in the course. The course is going to be... What is the course title? The about the Dark Lords, the game, the rigged game?
The rigged game. How to unrig the game and overthrow the Dark Lords.
Well, yeah. And it is funny, but it's really...
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. It's true, and we got to face it, that it's a rigged game. Now, a lot of people are talking about it. But what we want to do here at Rise is we want to create the processes, the community, the trust, the safe place, because that's so important, to unrig your game. I don't find that no matter how profound these, sessions are with people like you and I, and the clearings that really help, and they can do really great things, but it's very hard to sustain openness, vulnerability, and new authentic embodiment of heart-core soul essence when your life is being threatened by, and the predators are diving in, and money's tight, and you've lost your apartment, and they're doing, and we're getting dived by this and that toxicity, and the list goes on and on and on. So we're in a toxic soup of fight and flight. Reptilian brain gets triggered and it shuts us down, and we get in defense mode. Ego takes over, and this whole process we're talking about the unwinding to eventually open the heart and bring in the divine design, has to be created when we feel safe enough to let our hair down, to bring this stuff up to the surface. So that's something I feel very strongly about as a feminine space holder, is that there has to be these places for us to live and to come together to do this kind of work. So we're doing that at Rise. And so when people come to you, then there's a series of, we're talking about chakras, we're talking about, okay, let's break down some of the big ones. And, in some ways, we're just giving a brief overview here. The real value of people like Laura Lee and myself, to be honest, aren't to be talking heads sitting here telling you how things are. Our gift is actually holding this space where these miracles of transformation are happening with people. We're trying to hold a mirror up to what goes on in those private sessions, what people are experiencing, what the traps are that are finally getting untrapped. So maybe we could just talk about a few more of those. The chakras and the secrets behind them. Now, In this community, to chakra or not to chakra is an ongoing discussion. Several of the mentors are removing chakras, have been for years. Other people have told me there's no way you can remove a chakra. You are totally BS. And it happens organically through a sense of coming to completion, and this new operating system is just born organically. And yet I'm finding that there is a process that really does need to occur to get people outside of so much of what they're doing, experiencing, feeling, and being at cause out. Because I have a student, and she's under a lot of attack from a partner who's been kind of a handler and a heavy Draco. And, when he's feeling insecure, he needs some of her energy, she starts shaking, or she starts getting angry, or, he's got that cord into her, and so she gets triggered, and so she becomes a big loosh machine, and he harvests her, and then she's calm for a while. Well, she just removed her chakras, and she's saying all of that noise has gone way down, and she's not nearly as prone. But I want, your take on the chakras, because I know you have a unique perspective.
Yeah, and I suggest to people, I don't take anybody's chakras out. I show them how to do it. I feel like it's an inside job. It's like, okay, here's the recipe, here's how to get rid of it. No, you do it. I'll stand in the background and make sure you got all the ingredients.
But your energy sometimes is very useful in a session, because I've experienced that. Because you're right there with people.
Right. I can say, you forgot number 2. Let's go back and do that.
And you can feel if there's something they didn't get, or...
And with my protocol, what I do is have my clients use the implant removal protocol and create it and treat it like an implant, because that's just exactly what it is. It's a imposed system that was implanted there that is useless.
And who implanted that system?
That was part of the forced agreement thing. It's like everybody has them here, right?
So we didn't have any... Are these overlays, or the entire chakra system is an imposition?
Both. It can be both. Now, an interesting story. One of our... when Ronnie and I were doing a ghost busting, we were working on this kid, and we could not get into his information or his energy field, and we didn't know it. It was hard to he had to shove in, and we were trying to get this all figured out. And Ronnie said, check him and see if he's got chakras. And we didn't know if he had taken them out or not. We didn't know how much his mother had worked with him, and they were wide open. So I just went through and shut them all down, and shut down the outer ones too. And it was like that. Information, instant, where it was like walking through Jell-O and we couldn't make anything work. Instantly we're like, bam, bam, bam. We found out exactly what was wrong. We found out that he had not just ghosts, but some really weird stuff going on. So, and we were able to get it handled in 15 minutes. But before then, it just took forever. Now, what I did was shut them down. I didn't take them out. I just shut them down. Then we told his mother what we did and said, it's up to you if you would like to tell him so he can remove them. I feel like people need to kind of take responsibility for that. The only thing we do is we will shut down chakras of children, and then when they get to be like a teenager or something and savvy enough to figure out that's what they want, then teach them how to do that. You can do it to your little kids too. Like an 8-year-old, you can teach them how to get rid of that with the implant removal.
So what are the benefits of getting rid of your chakra? I mean, you've given a great example there.
Okay, well, there's another one. I had another client. He is a massage therapist, and so this really scared him, right? This was really, really... So what he did is he just shut them down one at a time. It's like, okay, that didn't kill me. Okay, we'll go another one. Okay, that didn't... I'm still alive. So he shut them down one at a time, and then he wrote to me, and I said, so how are you doing? And because he was having a hard time sleeping. And he says, I'm sleeping like a chakra-free baby. So that was, I have never had any negative effects from anyone I've ever worked with, and I've worked with tons of people, from taking their chakras out. Never. So proof is in the pudding, I guess.
Okay. So what after you take off your chakras, then what happened?
Then your next thing would be to get rid of that damn snake,
Okay.
And you can do that with the implant removal protocol also. And the thing about that, the implant protocol, is it has all of the peripheral energies, like things that could come in from another dimension, or things that, of course it gets rid of pod seeds and eggs, and we know that the Kundalini snake lays eggs, so you get rid of all that. So it gets rid of anything that could possibly restore that. So that's why it's really important to go through that list after you get rid of the snake and get rid of anything that could put the damn thing back. Another thing that's really important after you get rid of those is your astral body. We call it the astral body.
Okay.
Because there's nothing on the astral plane but a bunch of asses.
Really?
And yeah, people
Can you
think,
explain
yes,
that a little bit more?
people think that if you don't have an astral body, that you won't be able to go anywhere when you sleep. That's so not true. The astral plane is just one of many, many, many places. All of them, most all of them, are way, way better than the astral plane. The astral plane has all of the creepy, nasty, loose sucking, trying to needle you to get more loose. It's just like the nastiest, creepy place ever. And we can go a lot of other places besides that. Now, my experience with that is that I would wake up either exhausted, tired, or with cuts and bruises, and I even have my hair cut. There's like this big chunk out of my hair, and I'm like, whoa, I don't have that much hair anyway, so that was really disturbing. And there was one time I woke up and I had like fingerprints on the insides of my thighs, like somebody was like trying to pull them apart. I'm like, what the heck is this? And this stuff went on, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And I realized it was coming from the astral realm. And I'm like, well, what the heck? And that's when I was working with my business partner, Amika, and she says, do we even need our astral bodies? And I'm like, I scanned it, and I'm like, well, no. And she says, well, let's get rid of it. So we did the implant removal protocol on that, and I have not had a problem since. I don't wake up scared. I'm not tormented and chased at night. I'm not, I don't have cuts and bruises on me anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't go maybe places where we're working on taking out a corrupted system, and at night I go to do something on the other side and wake up exhausted. But I'm not scared. It's like, yeah, I know I was out doing some work, but I know it's not on the astral realm, and it's actually doing something to help this planet instead of get things more corrupted. And so for you that are adventuresome and want to, and I thought, okay, if I ever did need an astral body to go in and get some creepy ass soul from the astral body, I could just create one and go do that job and then get rid of it. So it's not like, if I ever had to, I don't know if I ever had, I've never had to go to the astral realm. It's just not one of those places. So yeah, those are the three things that will make your life so much easier. I'm not saying that every problem in your life will go away, but you'll have a baseline of so you're not tortured at night. You don't have your chakras and that dang snake going up and down your body all the time. Yeah, life can be a lot easier, way easier. So that's just my experience, and experience from my clients that I've worked with.
Great. Okay. MK Ultra and agency.
Oh, that's a deep subject.
It is a deep subject, especially since you told me this morning that 60% of all indigos are involved in this stuff.
Yeah.
That's a pretty shocking number.
That was shocking to me. I didn't realize that till this morning. Yes, agency is MK Ultra. It's like a cousin or a sister to that, or it can be both. It can be both.
But you need to define what they are, because there might be people listening that have no idea what those words mean.
MK Ultra is short for Mind Control Ultra. And it's where someone, it started with like Dr. Mengele. And by the way, he was brought in from the outside by the D-Monster. Oh yeah. Yeah, that guy, he didn't get that nasty on his own. He was rubbing shoulders with some real nasties. So, it's these programs to make you someone else's robot, basically. And there's trigger words, there's trigger, maybe a smell, there's a tone. There's different ways that you can be programmed to do bidding for someone else that you may have no clue what you're doing before and after. It's kind of like being put under hypnosis or something where you don't know. And then there's like mind wipes, and there's things that they do after, so that you could go off and do some things for the military and not have a clue until you woke up, because they have ways of manipulating the time-space continuum so that they can take you out. You can go do a job. It can last 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. Bring you back to like a minute or 15 seconds after you left, and you don't even know you were gone.
Now, you actually work with people who have this situation going on?
Yes, a lot of people, more people than you can imagine have this. And it seems like the indigos were like kind of in the front lines on that stuff, because that's where you can get the intel. That's one of the places where they were doing the biggest corruption experiments were in that. And so if you have like missing time, or if you have like aversions to something that you have no clue why you would have such a horrible aversion to something, my business partner Amika, she hated cold water. She just hated it. And after working with her, found out that she was in one of those dunk tanks, and where they dunk you in cold water and almost to the point of dying. And sometimes they'll kill you and bring you back to life as part of the programming. It's horrible. Look it up. There's a whole array of MK Ultra websites out there that people can go to get information. Now the thing is, besides MK Ultra, there's something that we call agency, and that's being in one of these undercover dark agencies that nobody talks about, and they don't even have names. They're so secret they don't even have a name. And many of the indigos that I work with that are on the front lines doing massive work, breaking these systems open, have that in their history.
So you actually work with people and help them get out of these situations?
Yes, and it can be touch and go and pretty scary, because these people, for the most part, have got kill switches to either kill the person that's trying to help them out or off themselves. And I have found that with the methods that I use, I haven't lost anybody yet. So
but isn't
I've worked with a lot of them.
Isn't it true that a lot of these people have kill programs towards the person that's trying to liberate them, such as yourself?
Yes, and I've had I've had experiences with that, and like I say, with my protocols, with the Kryahgenetics eggs and the Almoricite rocks as electromagnetic protections and stuff, and I've got a huge force on the other side that's helping me, that gives me ideas on exactly how to take it out. Some of them, it's like undetonating a time bomb. You have to do it in a certain way, in a certain sequence, or the bomb goes off.
So this isn't for everybody. You need to have access to those codes and that information.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty... I only know a few people that are equipped to help somebody like that. And once you've taken out most of your programs and get to understand it, I can kind of scan to see if you're equipped enough to help somebody else. But you have to be real careful, because it can go south.
So these are really difficult people to work with, I would think.
Yeah, because most of the time they'll turn on me just out of the blue. They'll just say, "Well, I don't like your hair. You're ugly. Go away." You know.
The program.
Yes, the program
to get
will say
as far
that.
away from you as possible.
Right. Or tell me off. Call me names. Blah blah blah. That happens all the time. And
so that's often true, isn't it? That the true liberators, we have these programs that immediately we don't trust them. Something in us is to going, don't believe a word that person says. And it doesn't happen to the bullshit artists. You call them the light deceivers.
Destroyers and light distractors, right?
Yeah. And in your book, you really nail that. That's a brilliant way that you outline, because so much of what's out there now posing as saviors, or even really great therapists, or people who've come back from the dead and telling us how they're... Well, what's your experience with those people? Can you... we're not going to do the name-calling thing, although we could. There's a heck of a lot of it out there that in this area... you're going to get people that are never going to help you with your liberate. There are very few people who have broke the programmings themselves deeply enough in their own shadows to actually hold that space, that purity for humanity. And I know that you've suffered greatly, and that you have an amazing stamina, endurance, and love to even be here. And they've almost taken you out gazillion times.
Oh, yeah.
And the things that have happened to you, most people would think, though nobody could have even lived through that. And I'm just so amazed and grateful that we're even sitting here to able to talk about this and bring this information forward, because frankly, we've been trying to do this for 5 years now, and we've been completely blocked by AI. So this is the first time that we've been able to even speak this.
And boy, are we speaking it.
Well, we're just getting started.
See,
this is so the tip of the iceberg.
That much tougher and stronger and smarter. So here we go. We're
the
gonna
work
let it
that you
all
did, and others of us did behind the scenes, is allowing this to be spoken.
Yes, a lot of things. It's taken. I find that many things, there's like a right time and a place, and obviously this seems to be the right time and place to really get this out. Now, one of the things that they have done, and I've seen this so much, and I've talked to many of the indigos that I work with on the front lines, and it's financial tyranny. They get you that way, and trying to get out from under that, it's not impossible, but it's really, really hard. They get you at every turn. I know I've been homeless 3 times. I've had just horrendous financial challenges in my past. And
physical.
And physical, yeah, I've had a lot of physical things too. And that's how they get us. And I tell these indigos I work with, I said, you know what? And some of them are in really, really harsh living conditions. And I said, you got to know that if any of these ass souls that are running this planet had to do walk in your shoes, even 72 hours, they would kill themselves or die. They cannot live without their bundles of money, without their charge cards, without their yachts, without their easy access to whatever they want. They want something, they got it. Here we are, we want something, we have to save up for 10 years, right? You know, it's like, and what we've been doing is linking together. It's like, well, I have a little crust of bread. Well, I have some fruit here. Well, let's get together and we'll make a sandwich.
Yeah, and it is our coming together in those simple, beautiful, humble, real, in real time, life ways, real time, not fake real time, that we are going to make it through, because that is, yeah, but it's time to bust through the system.
It is.
This is, again, just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to roll out a course. You're going to roll out a course. I'm going to roll out some new things in collaboration with this, with us coming together in this way. You're going to be doing the night's training, which is we're going to be doing the shadow work and all of this cryogenetic clearing. I talked about all the tools and techniques. This is all coming through Rise Multiversity. And we're going to take it on from there to advanced training in how ourselves to reclaim our superpowers and our birthrights, and be a force to reckon with, to no longer be blind, stupid, naive, and incompetent, and full of shadow and guilt and shame and disempowerment or entitlement or just ignorance, so that we can become formidable opponents and agents of change.
Yes.
And really get this multidimensional job finally done. So please go to risemultiversity.org. Hello.
Good Black
timing.
helicopter.
And, please go to risemultiversity.org and join our newsletter, because we're going to be soon coming out with events, courses, and classes with both of us. And then if they want to get hold of either one of us for private sessions, you can do that through Rise Multiversity as well. We haven't even talked about many things, so we'll be back with another one of these soon. And how would they get hold of you directly, Laura Lee, if they wanted a session with you?
Okay, I would go to my website, firstwaveindigos.com, and it'll give you all the information there. There's a link to my shopping cart, and there's links to my email addresses, so I would go there.
Okay, and what is that website again?
firstwaveindigos.com.
firstwaveindigos.com. Great. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So much.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed this time with you. I'm finding it exceedingly transformative. There are people, like I said, that when we work with them, our lives shift in incredible ways, and it's their wisdom, but it's also what they've struggled through, what they've embodied themselves, who they've become. So I suggest you have a look at this lady. Okay. Catch you later.
Bye.